Yo, what's going on, guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Stories 2. Another discussion with the squad. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing very well. I hope you guys in chat are, or in the comments are doing well as well. Howdy doody, everybody.
In chat, live. We're doing it live.
I'm so used to doing streaming.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, we're back today. We just thought we'd talk a little bit more about Monster Hunter Stories because obviously the game has been out a while now. A lot of you guys are endgame, approaching endgame, getting to that point anyway, and we kind of just want to talk about what we're doing right now because we are still very much playing this game a lot. Like, you guys are still all the time grinding, keeping you very busy.
I have a confession. I'm at 270 hours.
What?
I just checked it earlier today.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
there's
obviously,
a lot to do.
There is a lot to do. So we just thought, kind of on that topic, we sort of chat today about like what's keeping us busy, what we are doing, how we're enjoying it. Because obviously, also, you know, we're only a couple of weeks away from the first title update, which is called Hellblade Glavenus and Bolt Reaver Astalos. So the fact that it's not slowing down is kind of
well,
kind of
more
cool.
than just that as well.
No, I mean they're the first. That's the first one. That's the first update.
Taroth
Just
as well, August 5th, right?
I said that. I said Kulve, Hellblade.
Oh, sorry.
Astalos.
Sorry.
He's not listening to me. He's not listening to me. Honestly. But yeah, I mean, let's start. Like obviously, Paradise. You said you're approaching like 270 hours. Like, what is keeping you going? Like, what's the main thing you find yourself doing right now?
For me, right now, it's two things. Okay, it's builds and PvP. And they go hand in hand together, right? It's like, you do some PvP, you're like, if I had this move, I would destroy him. So you go and grind it out, you put it in the build, you try it out, then you're like, actually, I need to put this anti-status thing in so that I never get, paralyzed or whatever. So you grind it out, you put that in. It's like a repeating cycle. But there is also PvE builds that you can make that are like, probably don't work very well in PvP, but they work really well in PvE. So then there's this whole layer of, now I need to make two monsters if I want to have a PvE version and a PvP version. So then that's like another thing to like grind out and get the genes for and all that stuff. And then it's like, I need to get the move from this deviant, so now I need to go get some bottle caps to get some tickets to then grind out to get my build to then test out in PvP. So there's like this really like interesting loop of like constantly getting genes and bottle caps, getting new monsters to try out and see what works and stuff like that. And for me, I'm really enjoying it. I really like the theory crafting behind like trying all the genes, seeing what moves are really strong, and all that kind of stuff. And I also just like the fact that the multiplayer is incorporated into like the endgame activities. I know a lot of people like to do like the expeditions solo. They don't want to do it co-op, but I like that it's there as a choice. I need to get a deviant. Do I do it solo or do I group up with someone? Maybe also I see a lot of people doing ticket exchanging where it's like, I have an SR ticket, I need this deviant, someone else needs the deviant as well, and they have a ticket, so instead of just doing one run, we group together and we do two runs and use our ticket each, and I see a lot of people doing that, which I think is really cool. And of course, multiplayer and the PvP as well. And I freaking love the 2v2 PvP. I just think it's such a change in like the dynamic of a normal 1v1. So if you haven't been doing much 2v2 PvP, all kinds of new things open up. Like the hunting horn suddenly becomes really good because you're buffing 4 people, you and your partner and their monstie and your monstie, as well as like AoE moves, buffs, debuffs and stuff like that. So one example is there's a move called Savage Roar. I'm sure you've heard of it, which has a chance to knock down Pokemon or monsters.
You've been playing Pokemon Unite right now as well.
Sorry, I got Pokemon on the brain. Anyway, Savage Roar has a chance to knock things down, and a lot of people are saying, it's not working for me, but someone used it on me the other day in a 2v2 PvP, and they knocked my Silverwind Nagakuga down. So it definitely works in PvP. Maybe some monsters are immune to it, maybe some aren't immune to it, but it's just a change in the dynamic. So then it's like, now I need a whole another PvP build that works better for 2v2s than 1v1. So there's a lot of things to chase if you're into the PvP.
Yeah. And like 2Six, you guys have been doing PvP together. Like how are you? I know you're a PvP man. Like how are you enjoying it so far, or are you finding you're spending your time elsewhere?
Yeah, I came in with like no expectations of there being PvP or even the PvP being good in this game, and the fact that there are like 1v1s and 2v2s, I'm really enjoying like the core mechanics of just like finding out what works and what isn't working for my builds. And there's different things that you really need to think about in PvP compared to PvE in terms of if you're not running something with like anti-status on your monster. I don't know, maybe the meta might develop more, but currently like statusing things is the way to go. So if you're not running things that like stop that status from happening, if you're not running a particular like item set, or if you're doing certain things with your monster in that fight that you wouldn't necessarily do in like a normal PvE fight, you might find yourself in just like a weird situation where you're just on the back foot. And the game's kind of really got this like yin yang approach to like the battles as well. So I really like what I've played so far in terms of like the PvP, and it's kind of really led me to have a bunch of like builds and do theory crafting just like Paradise at the moment. I think what I really like about it is, one, it's so new, and the community, obviously there was Stories 1, but like Stories 2, like community right now is just so nice and like wholesome, and everyone's trying to figure things out, and everyone's trying to build their builds, and no one knows what's going on, and everybody's helping people out and pointing people into the like right direction for stuff. And that discovery aspect is almost like a core part of like what I enjoy about it. It's like, I don't know what this skill does. Let me just put it on my monster, go out, test it. Somebody tells me it's good, or somebody tells me it's like bad. Like I put out a video and people will be like, actually, I suggest that this skill goes on there. It's just it's a nice feeling to know that it's kind of like, it feels like a blue ocean where there's just like a bunch of like stuff out there for you to try out. Even, yeah. And there's more like content coming on the horizon. I was just like, I was overwhelmed when I started playing through the campaign, and I'm still overwhelmed now as I'm playing the endgame because, there's just so much going on. I know that you've started building a couple builds now. How do you find it kind of getting into the build aspect and seeing how long it actually takes to build a build and then actually go out and actually like try different stuff as well?
I'm really liking it. So, you know what, this has been a genuine... kind of just a genuine sort of like discovery tour for me, because if you guys remember our first like review discussion, you'll know that I said that I'm typically not a turn-based person. Like I played Stories 1, I enjoyed it, and there are a few turn-based games that I enjoy, namely Stories, Pokemon, Advance Wars. They're kind of my exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, turn-based just isn't my thing, right? And obviously going into this, like there's the Monster Hunter bias. I'm like, well, I'm a Monster Hunter fan, I'm going to play it. Obviously we're making content, things like that, but you know, I'm not going to play a game and make content on a game if I don't actually enjoy it. And I have been... Monster Hunter like Stories 2 has broken so many of my typical barriers, like even down to now. Like this is, if I was playing a regular turn-based game that wasn't Monster Hunter Stories, and I got to this same point, like take everything that's in Stories but just remove the Monster Hunter skin. If I got to this point, I would normally be like, alright, I'm done. I finished the story. I don't really want to go and push my team up to like some... Because the thing is, like, I'm not really a PvP person. I'm doing most of my stuff in PvE, just kind of enjoying, like, exploring around. I'm still filling up the Monsterpedia, so I've still got some things that I haven't even encountered yet. So there's obviously that element to it. But yeah, normally if this was another game, I'd just be like, I don't see, for me personally, the need to push my thing up to like level 99. It's not really my jam. But for some reason in Monster Hunter Stories, I am enjoying it. Like maybe it's because the leveling process is actually quite smooth. I know towards the higher end, you do have some astronomical amounts of XP to earn, but I find it's very easy to do that. Again, you find something new. The kind of process of getting a monster back up to speed is incredibly easy and incredibly quick. Which is nice. And now that I'm actually starting to do the build stuff, I am actually really enjoying it. There is still the marginal frustration thing because, like, I mean, this is for everyone anyway, but I feel like Monster Hunter specifically has always just given me bad RNG, whether it be charms, whether it be decorations, and now it's genes, right? I'm out here, and these guys are like, oh yeah, you want to go get X, Y, and Z gene? Comes from all these monsters. I'm like, well, I've done super rare dens, and I even went with 260 the other day, and I got nothing. Finally started to get them. Shout out to Daniel. He gave us a few runs through a super rare den this morning. I finally got my genes. But yeah, I am really enjoying it. It is actually really cool in that respect, and it's actually kind of getting a sense of sort of gameplay that I wouldn't normally dip into. It's just kind of like, you know, I'm doing something that isn't really normally my jam, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of fun to be had with that. I think it's I'm definitely still like more PvE. I don't find myself being drawn to PvP, but that's just me as a person anyway. But yeah, I'm liking it. I'm currently building out my Palamute. I'm also building out my Tigrex. He needs to be fixed up a little bit. My next project is definitely going to be my Ivory Lagiacrus, because right now I haven't done anything to him and he's in a bit of a terrible state. So I want to make him a beast. But I kind of feel like for him, I almost have to wait a bit because I think once Bolt Reaver comes, I think there'll be some really good lightning moves.
Look,
That's the thing. I'm hoping that those new monsters, those new like variants and stuff that they're adding in, will have new moves. Because I hope that the Palamutes would have it. That might have been wishful thinking, but at the very least, if the Deviants and these new monsters coming in have new moves for us, that's just going to change. It's going to hopefully impact the meta, or at least gives us some new moves to try out and experience and see what works.
Yeah. That's also why I'm kind of hesitant to build my I've got a build for my Glavenus, but it's not like perfectly min-maxed. I was like, hold on a minute, I'm just going to replace Glavenus with Hellblade Glavenus anyway, so I might kind of wait. So I'm almost like hesitant to just like invest all that time in Glavenus, knowing that he is going to get replaced in about 2 weeks. So I think he's going to have to hold. But yeah, what are your hopes like? 269 throws you first. Like, what are your hopes for like some of the DVDs? Is it the same kind of thing, just like new moves?
You've given me a new hope. We're not going to talk about the DLC, but you're saying that you haven't stepped into PvP. I want to see.
Here we go.
All right, I want to see. All right, guys, get this: Gaijin Hunter versus HyperX, Mizu versus Glavenus. Let's
go.
Just a full team. Let's settle this. You both don't really do PvP. I know that Gaijin tweeted out this morning that he's like dipped into PvP, but you haven't really done like. Oh no, you've done like one match against me and got obliterated.
I took one hot off you and that was it. You hit me with the green Kongolala with arachnophobia. My first time seeing that move, I was like, what the hell just happened? That was yeah. I mean, that would be cool. That would be an interesting battle as well because technically speaking, type matchup is also at my disadvantage. But I'm a believer in Glavenus. I'm a believer.
Yeah.
I just need to put some secret tech on him that you won't see coming and be like, what? But yeah. I feel like I'll get into it.
I want to put something out there, okay? Because I am traditionally a Pokemon fan. I like the Pokemon games. They have their issues, but I still enjoy them. But man, Monster Hunter Stories 2 just has everything that you want done right. I feel like for this kind of a genre of game. I think that Monster Hunter Stories 2 is just like Pokemon, but just done better at this point. I don't even know what it is. I just feel like I like that you can switch out things in PvP, and that isn't your whole move. That adds another like layer of things. The fact that you have your like rider fighting with you is really nice as well because that gives you like almost 2 characters. Not even for PvE you have that as well, which is really nice. And the gene farming is just like so much more engaging to me to make a gene build than it is to just like slap on like moves on Pokemon and stuff like that. You got like passive things that you can mix in there too. The only thing that it's missing is to bring back the elemental monster changing. Like if that was in the game, that it would be so good. The amount of like diversity and things you could do and crazy wacky stuff that could happen would just be absolutely insane. And it would also like hugely shake up the PvP scene.
But I feel like that's not. I mean, obviously we obviously did the video on it talking about their initial plans, but I think there was an update the other day, them saying that they'll actually be patching out that thing in a future update anyway. Like so I feel like they're definitely. I mean, I can understand on one hand because part of the reason you would do it before is because you couldn't put genes anywhere before, so it's kind of like there was a trade-off, whereas now you can. But yeah, I completely agree with you because color changing stuff is so cool. Like some of the color combos just look awesome. Even just like Brute Tigrex when you make him fire, like all of his beige scars turn to red. It's like black and red. It's like, whoo! It's a very cool system, but
we won't get it in Stories 2 probably, but we can still stay hopeful for if there's going to be a Stories 3, maybe they'll bring it back.
Done quite well.
We don't know, like if they all have that right, because they might even just do an ultimate update for this game, which would be pretty cool, right? If they add stuff, there might be DLC content that comes from like. And puts more like monsters in it, like has like a DLC pack.
Cool.
Maybe they do something because that's what they do with like Monster Hunter, right? They drop like big chunks of
true.
Like, content.
I mean, true. Just because it didn't happen with Stories 1 doesn't mean like Stories 2 has been quite popular. So maybe they'll look at it and be like, oh, maybe there's more we could do with it. So yeah, it'll be definitely be interesting.
I just like to point something out, right? Let me go off on a tangent here. All right,
sure.
Last video, I said Pokemons. Someone got
Oh, yeah.
angry because I said Pokemons. I've been calling Pokemons that the whole time because someone explained to me like why it's got such a like negative connotation compared to just calling it Pokemon. I don't understand.
There's nothing. I say we're all Pokemon fans. I'll be like Pokemons. Someone, just for context for anyone that missed it, somebody misinterpreted 2Six saying Pokemons as an insult to Pokemon when it's just the way that we like talk about it in a friendly way. Like
I don't know how they can
it baffles me.
misinterpret it.
It baffles me.
I literally said, like, I don't know anything really about the Pokemon games anymore because I don't really play them as much. So I'm not going to really comment on it. But then Paradise goes on to, like, roast it. Like he's roasted it today. He's basically said that Monster Hunter Story 2 is better in every way and he enjoys it more.
I'm sorry,
but
it
people
is.
Are still... What? What?
It's true.
I'm still going to play
Is
the new Pokemon game to completion, and I'm still going to finish the Pokedex, but Stories 2 has just hit harder. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Am I the only one?
You know, also, yeah, let me know in the comments, but also, just to kind of go back on a tangent, you know what they need to add in a future update, right? I'm not going to say any spoilers in case you guys haven't finished the story, but there needs to be a certain armor set from a certain monster. That's all I'm going to say, right?
Yeah, it does. 100%.
That's it.
That monster is 10 out of 10, probably
10.
the best thing I've ever seen. I haven't talked about it. Maybe it's even taken over my like top slot of like monsters of ever. But I just like the look. It's just a vibe.
It's so cool. Yeah,
I know he
it's
said
so
the
cool.
I know he
Yeah.
said the monster's name there because
He said, Ibushi. But yeah, I won't say any more than that. Other than just like a certain monster needs an armor set and with some weapons. That would be very nice. Please, Capcom, because I can even picture it in my mind. I can picture what it would look like. Ooh, yes, please. That and also like, hey, listen, right? Especially now, I'm doing more and more just expeditions in general. It is further exacerbating my only one gripe about the game, which is still consistently, why does Navirou stop me when I go into my own den? Like, it doesn't happen in expeditions. Please, people might think it's only a second. Think about how many hundreds of dens you've gone through. Think about how many of those seconds add up. Like, it was an annoyance before. Now that I have seen it doesn't even have to happen, it is more of an annoyance. You would think something so minor would. I'm a very calm person, right? Not a lot of stuff annoys me normally, but you would every time, even though I know it's going to happen, I'm just like, So please,
So I have a question for you, just as a thing,
Sure.
because you're complaining about Navirou, right? As someone that's like, I don't know, I'm in the Monster Hunter community, but I'm also feel like I'm an outsider sometimes, like, because I came in like really loving Monster Hunter like quite late compared to you. Is it like just the cool thing to hate on the helpers? People hated on Scoutflies, people hated on the Handler, people are hating on Navirou. What do you think of Navirou? Like, I don't mind him. I just think he's like, I don't know.
You know what, right?
He's got a little charm.
It's funny.
About him.
Yeah, I feel like he's misunderstood, and I think you know what. I think you might be right. I think it might be like the thing to hate on them, because honestly, like, although the Handler in the first game did get a lot of hate, in World got a lot of hate. Like, there were some parts that were still annoying when she was like, "Hey, Parrot, I'm helping you," and she does nothing. But in the grand scheme of things, I do think that the actual hate is probably like is more exacerbated. But it's the other way though. Is when my memories from Monster Hunter Stories 1, because I played it such a long time ago, I just remember him like annoying me. But then when I played it in English, I'm just like, he's basically me, because he's making terrible puns. I'm like, I can't hate him because he's basically me. So I'm just like, look, he's cool, all right? Like, no donuts? How do you not go nuts? I'm just like, and the fact that he repeated that line twice just to make sure that the joke was heard. That is
donuts? How do you donuts?
Go nuts.
I think I've said this in one of our previous like discussions about stories. I think it might be that the anime Navirou is like taken into consideration. He's different in the anime. People maybe don't like him from that, but or maybe they do like him from that and they don't like the game. Whatever it is that people's opinion is. That being said, like, I personally don't mind him either. Like, he doesn't really grate on me too much, but I can understand why other people would find Navirou specifically.
Yeah.
Like, the Handler in World was one thing. Like, I get that. There were certain moments that were just dumb. Like, the stuff that would happen, right? And she just runs away. She's like, I got your back, and then just is out of there. But Navirou is just like, he's always popping up. He's always doing puns. He's never helping in combat. There's stuff that, it's just he's just always there but never there. So maybe that's the reoccurring trend, right?
What are you talking about?
So.
Navirou helps you. He's like, you got to think about this one. This one's going to be a speedy monster. There's something around the corner. Ooh, this egg. It's stank.
Stinky.
It's stank. And then you know that you got the good genes. He helps.
Do you know what, though? Counterpoint to this, the Navirou amiibo from Stories 1 is very expensive now. It's a full-on collector's item, so people can hate on Navirou, but there are people out there who pay a lot of money to get his amiibo, so maybe he's actually secretly popular.
So I have a question for you guys, because it's something that I've been thinking about for like the last couple of like days, and just like I like to think about how games can be changed or improved, or aspects of it can be brought to other games to make stuff that's like really cool. What about this type of game, but with an adult aesthetic? So it's like a hybrid between the mainline Monster Hunter series and the story stuff, and it's like a turn-based game focused around like hunters and stuff like that. But it's like Monster Hunter's version of Final Fantasy, basically. How would you feel about that?
Interesting idea. I mean, I feel, if anything, I feel like part of what Story's charm has is the visual style, but what I would be interested in is if they didn't go full on regular traditional Monster Hunter Monster Hunter style, but they took, because if ever you've seen the mobile game, which is Monster Hunter Riders, they have the same visual style, but all the characters are adults. So you've got like some really, really cool designs for some of these characters that have got like badass armor sets, but they're just grown-ups. And obviously we're surrounded by them in the game. There are adults in the village. It's just that we play as some kid. So maybe the counterpoint to that would be like the next one. In the same way they went from Monster Hunter Stories 1, which is like these tiny chibi characters, to this one, which is more grown up. If they did Monster Hunter Stories 3 and it's like the progression and then these riders are older and then you play as like adult riders with better gear and better weapons, I feel like that could be kind of cool, maybe?
No, but I kind of want, if they're going to do it with adult, right? Like, being a kid in this game doesn't really bother me. It just means that they can't do certain themes. Like, so it can't be more of like a adult, more nuanced theme. This one was kind of more like a Disney Pixar story, which people...
You want a deep story with betrayal.
I want a deep story with betrayal, monsters...
Betrayal and grit.
Yeah, grit.
Yeah, I will say, though, I love the idea. Yeah. However, if they're going in that like Final Fantasy vein, then we're taking away all the monsters on your team and stuff, right? Yeah. So they need to replace them with like the iconic Monster Hunter heroes and characters from the games, right? So it's like you're playing through, and then the freaking Wyverian guy, now he's joined your party, or Red from Stories is now like able to join your party. So like you go through Final Fantasy, you get like in 10, you get like Auron, you get like Waka, and you get like the team, right? So they have to replace it with really interesting characters, and they could pull in all of the characters that we love from the all the past Monster Hunter games.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be like past Monster Hunter characters. It can just be like a new party of like Story, but it just needs to be characters that you care about. I think Stories did that particularly well in the first place, right? There were like my character I cared about it, a bunch of the other characters like I really cared about towards the end of the story as well, which is not something that I've necessarily had with any other Monster Hunter like campaign that I've like played through. So I just want that with more, just adult and like grown-up themes that kind of really will resonate and make you a bit more thought-provoking and stuff like that. And then you could deep dive into the lore of Monster Hunter a bit more.
It could be cool. It could be cool. I mean, I'll be down. Yeah, I'll be down for it.
That would be nuts though, because then you've got Capcom. They'd be doing Stories, which is like kind of like Pokemon. Then you got like the Final Fantasy Monster Hunter taking on Final Fantasy. Then you got like Monster Hunter, which is its own like leading thing. That would be like another genre in their arsenal.
Yeah.
All right, hear me out. Let's add another genre to this. Oh no, someone's at the door, but it's fine. Someone else can answer it. If we're gonna add more stuff to the arsenal, right? How about we take a game?
Yeah.
Where you ride these monsters.
I know, Diddy Kong Racing. He's going there. I know he's going there already.
And then there's a track.
No.
And then oh wait, hold on. You know what? Someone's not answering the door. I need to get this. 1 second.
cool.
He abandoned midway through his idea.
That was such a rubbish idea that he had to go away. But he knows what's up. You can do races in normal Monster Hunter anyway. But like, what monster are you hoping for them to like include in as like DLC Paradise? Like beyond the ones that we obviously know. Like, is there any monster that you would want like for them?
It's
to, like,
got to be Great Jagras. Why is he not in the game? Like, I need Great Jagras on my team to instill fear into people in PvP. That's it.
Nah, I need Gormagala. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, they just continually like leave out Gormagala out of like everything. It's like Lagiacrus is back. He wasn't in like the last couple of Monster Hunter games, but where's Gore?
Yeah.
Why do they hate Gore? Is there any other monsters that
they
just don't like?
They can add Gore back into my interesting idea that there's a track. See, you run around these things, you have items, and then you can throw these items like a shock trap, and it'll freeze someone on the track. And it's basically a Monster Hunter racing game with Gormagala as the flagship monster for the game.
I'll take it.
But like Valstrax is just going to be like the most overpowered one. He's just going to zoom to the end.
No fly zone. Not allowed to fly. Go run. So then when you have you ever realised, right? Have you guys had Astalos on your team?
Yeah, he's super fast.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah.
He's great, but have you noticed, right? You know how 2-6 once ruined John Wick for me because he was like, if ever, and I apologise for you guys by the way, if you like, John Wick is a fantastic film, but he said if you watch John Wick, every time he runs, it looks like he needs to go to the toilet. I can no longer unsee this. Astalos does the same thing. When he walks, he kind of has like this weird little jittery limp, right? And it's almost like he's trying to be fast, but they've got a speed limiter on him, so he keeps jolting back. And it's actually really, really weird to ride in the back of Astalos to the point where I felt like the game was glitching, and I was like, no. I don't like this. He's just like, good. I'm like, oh no. So yeah,
That's mad.
there we have it.
But yeah, I've really been liking
musical.
Yeah, I've really been liking stories like so far, and I'm continuing to like it. I didn't know that I was going to be playing it this long, and the fact that obviously there is the DLC around the corner just means that there is a couple of things that will change the core gameplay. I hope that they add more water monsters. I think the biggest issue for me right now is like there's certain skills and certain categories that don't necessarily have the genes in the categories don't necessarily have like the breadth of other ones, like fire and elemental just have like a bunch of really cool stuff so you can get the bingos and some good genes. But say something like water, there isn't anything like with a high crit chance, there isn't anything there isn't that many skills in terms of numbers, there isn't any monsters that are up on the like the high tier, like in terms of like damage as well.
It's a bit of a soggy selection right now.
It is a soggy selection compared to the rest as well.
Need Namiel. It fills the gap.
Because
like one of the things. Yeah, exactly. One of the things that's missing is that all the Elder Dragons, they have those like, or even the Deviants, they have like those massive damaging moves. You know, like the finish like Supernova or Calamity Slash, as well as things like Dust Explosion, the like non-attack type AoE ones, and there just isn't anything like that for water because there are no like water Elder Dragon Deviants, right?
Yeah.
So
Probably where Soulseer,
missing.
Mizutsune will come in and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll have to see. What are you guys hoping for from Kulve? Because obviously, you know, we know Kulve from
I don't even
Monster
know,
World.
I don't even know.
we know
It's
you
just
can't
nuts
ride
to
it. It
me.
can't be a monster.
No, but it's nuts to me that's even around the corner. Are we going to get the same mechanics with like weapons that drop, and then we've just got like Kulve to farm out for like 10 years? Because when that dropped in Monster Hunter, that was like, it took us ages to get all the right weapons because it's so RNG like heavy. I know people hated that, but I kind of like that. There is that chase in it, and it's so hard to get.
What if?
You remember? Sorry, just to quickly say, in the Kulve fight originally, like there was different like stages to it. Like you went through a whole level. Are we having something like that as well, or is it just like one fight and done?
To see.
So I'm interested to see what it's like. Remember, there was like cannons and everything. There was like walls and cannons. Like it was a whole ordeal. So what exactly is the fight gonna be?
It'll be interesting. Imagine, right? It's probably not actually going to happen because it breaks the whole mechanic of the game. But we're toying with random ideas here. Kulve, obviously, you know, I feel like it might not be a full scale random weapon thing because I feel like the UI isn't necessarily built for like having a bajillion weapons in your box. But could be wrong. But what if there was a random component to it whereby even though you can't ride Kulve, you get a random gene at the end that you can then
Ooh,
use in channeling.
If that was that sounding good.
Imagine that. It's almost like an empty egg, and it's just like, this is just a gene that you can use in Rite of Channeling, and then you farm that. Imagine that.
If that's what they've done, and it's just like a bunch of more genes in the game that they've added to it, like, I would be so excited. I don't think I'll come off the game. Like, I'll just be like, oh,
I just had an idea
Go on,
to
Paradise.
expand on your idea. Alex. This is I think this is doable as well. So rather than adding in a whole bunch of new genes, if instead the gene that you got was an existing gene but with a different element than what it normally has. So now you get inflict rate up, but it's fire, or you get some crit rate up, but it's electric.
With thunder.
This makes
Exactly.
sense. This makes sense. Maybe that's what they
that would mix everything up. That would actually be so good.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just give you a layered armor that is a pair of genes.
Why you gotta go there? Why you gotta hit so hard?
I've got to give you must giveth and then you must taketh away.
That's
and on that bombshell, I think we can wrap up the discussion. 2Six, do you have a question for the day for the people?
The question of the day is, what do you think the Colv mechanic will be once it drops in stores?
Yeah, let us know. Obviously, in the meantime, if you guys haven't been doing so already, make sure you are checking out 2Six and Paradise's channels as well. As always, they're linked in the description of every video. What are you guys working on this weekend? What can people expect on your respective channels?
So we've got a Dragon Palamute build going out on the main channel, but I have a Water Palamute that a bunch of people have been asking for, and I think I've got it to some like crazy position that nobody else would have like built around this build. So that will be up today, and then we've got like a little funky video going out on very soon as well. So yeah.
And I just dropped my Bloodbath Diablos build, and then soon gonna be dropping my Stygian Zinogre build, which I know people are really wanting to see as well. So basically, I'm dropping all my builds. People were asking for them, so I'm putting them out there now.
Bob the Builder over here.
Ben
all right,
the Builder.
Sweet. Ben the Builder. Yeah, there we go. Right, well, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you keep it locked. We've got plenty more stuff coming your way. Lots of exciting stuff to look forward to. Let us know how you guys are getting on below, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
If you want to catch more from us at HyperX Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below. And of course, you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.